Brian, can I own a gun if I have PTSD? Yes, but there's a couple things you need to be aware of. What is going on, fellow veterans? Brian Reese, the VA Claims Insider here, coming at you live from Austin, Texas. And in this super short video, I'm going to be covering PTSD and gun ownership rights. Everything you need to be aware of regarding your Second Amendment rights, especially if you have PTSD or you have a service-connected VA disability rating for PTSD. So first of all, VA disability benefits for post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is the number 6 most common VA disability claim. It's also the number 1 most common mental health claim across all veteran demographics. VA ratings for PTSD range from 0% to 100%, depending on the severity of your symptoms and how those symptoms negatively affect your occupational and social impairment. Now, a question I get asked all the time is, Brian, what about if I have a service-connected PTSD rating or I have a high service-connected PTSD rating? Does that impact my ability to own a gun? Does that impact my ability to have a gun? No, it doesn't. It doesn't impact your ability to own or buy a gun. A VA rating for PTSD on its own has nothing to do with whether you qualify or disqualify from owning or purchasing a firearm. Federal law does prohibit, however, gun ownership for those who are deemed mentally incompetent or for those who have been involuntarily committed to a mental institution. Now, I want to talk quickly about something called a fiduciary assignment. If the VA assigns you a fiduciary to manage your financial affairs due to mental incompetence, you could be reported to something called the FBI's National Instant Criminal Background Check System, or NICS, which can potentially restrict gun ownership rights. Now, you obviously can challenge that. So if you're assigned a fiduciary, you're reported to NICS, you can challenge that through something called a competency hearing. Brian, what about this? Can I own a gun if I have PTSD? Yes. Okay, you can generally own a gun if you have PTSD, but there's a couple things you need to be aware of. The diagnosis of PTSD alone does not automatically disqualify you from owning or purchasing a firearm. Now, under federal law, in particular, it's called the Gun Control Act of 1968. Individuals are prohibited from owning or buying firearms only if they have been deemed mentally defective or have been committed to a mental institution. What does this mean? That means that unless you've got a court order or similar legal authority that's declared you mentally incompetent, or you've been voluntarily committed to a mental institution, your PTSD diagnosis alone does not prevent you from owning a gun, nor does it prevent you from buying a gun. Can I buy a gun if I have PTSD? Yes, you can. Again, the PTSD diagnosis alone does not disqualify you from owning a gun. Now, another question I get asked all the time is, Brian, what if I have a high VA rating for PTSD? I have a 70% rating for PTSD. I have a 100% VA disability rating for PTSD. Does that impact my ability to own a gun? No. Your VA disability rating percentage has nothing to do with whether or not you can purchase a gun, own a gun, etc. The key factor is whether there's a legal determination of mental incompetence. It's absolutely, absolutely critical. What about, I get questions about like concealed carry if I have PTSD. Similar situation. Your concealed carry has nothing to do with PTSD. Now, when it comes to gun ownership and PTSD, you need to be aware that there's federal laws and then there's state laws. What does this mean? Well, there's something in the states that are called extreme risk laws, also known as red flag laws, that enable law enforcement in many states, there's 21 of them, certain family members or individuals close to a person to petition a court to temporarily remove firearms from somebody who's at serious risk of harming themselves or others. There are 21 states as of August 2024 with active extreme risk laws. Now, again, this doesn't mean that because you have PTSD, you can't own a gun or you can't purchase a gun. That's not what it means. It just means that there's 21 states that have extreme risk laws. Now, if you want to know more about this topic, I've got like 30 Q&A, federal laws, state laws, the Brady Law, everything you need to know covered. If you go to vaclaimsinsider.com/blog, you will see exactly what I'm talking about and search for gun ownership and PTSD. You can also look below in the description of this YouTube video. I have linked to a high value blog post on this very topic so that as a veteran, right, who's armed with their Second Amendment gun rights, you know how mental health conditions or post-traumatic stress disorder can potentially impact VA disability and vice versa, your ability to own a gun, your ability to purchase a gun. Fellow vets, Brian Reese, the VA Claims Insider, out from Austin, Texas. Talk to you really soon. I love y'all. Thank you for your service and sacrifice.